What's up, friends? Welcome back to Coffee Time with Alice. Well, it's the end of Women's History Month, so I'm going to talk about the women who inspired me in music. Now, you remember my episode on Billie Holiday. While she is on this list, I'm not going to talk about her today because I did a whole episode on her, and definitely check that out if you get a chance, if you haven't already. But I am going to briefly mention her inspiration, Bessie Smith, who's often considered the godmother of blues, with her hit song, Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out. I really love that song. I've been getting more and more into blues lately, and have been getting into her music, because I like to start at the beginning and work through the years. And it's actually been inspiring some of the stuff I'm doing with guitar, but that's going to be a whole nother conversation for another episode. Moving on to punk rock, I definitely want to talk about Joan Jett. Started out with the Runaways. She actually is a co-founder of that band. They were around for 4 years, had a successful career. But then that band broke apart, and she had her own career, which was honestly was more successful than the Runaways. Songs like I Hate Myself for Loving You, her cover of Crimson and Clover, Bad Reputation, a lot of great hits. And as a fellow femme guitarist and vocalist in rock, hell yeah, of course she inspires me. I also want to talk about Jane County. She was the first openly trans person in the rock scene. She came out in 1978 and really kicked the door down for people like me, honestly. People like me, people like Laura Jane Grace. Performing regularly at places like CBGB and whatnot. She herself has never been like a huge commercial success in that scene, but she did inspire bands that were, like the Ramones. She inspired David Bowie. She inspired a lot of bands through the years. Patti Smith was another person who listed her as an inspiration. So yeah, Jane County. The song that's my favorite song of hers, Man Enough to Be a Woman. That song is awesome. Also, by the way, Monday is Trans Day of Visibility. I don't care what they say, that day does still exist. March 31st, because trans women's history is also women's history. Moving right along, another artist I want to talk about, an artist who spanned multiple genres and multiple mediums, Tina Turner. My introduction to her was Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. She did such a great job in that film, and I actually had a bit of a crush on her because of that movie. I got into her music because of that. I love the song Don't Need Another Hero, and I also really like the song What's Love Got to Do with It. That one always makes me cry. Of course, the movie of that same title also hits really hard. But talk about someone who's such a badass. She was such a badass. Like, coming out of such an impossibly abusive relationship, an impossible situation with Ike. Coming out of that, and it would have destroyed most people, especially during that era. Not her. She kept going, and she's never gonna be forgotten. Also, and along that same line, in terms of that kind of inspiration of overcoming things, Emily Autumn, who is very, very indie. A lot of you might not even have ever heard of her. Some of you might have, but she mixes Victorian era Baroque music with industrial, world-class violinist. And a lot of her songs deal with trauma and overcoming abuse and mental illness and abandonment. I came across her music in 2009, and that set off a chain reaction of events that led to me coming out as myself. Later that year, I went to her show, and I'd been questioning things in myself for a while. And her show was just so moving that I came out. I started living my truth. I did it by throwing my tie on stage. And that tie was caught by a burlesque dancer by the name of Veronica Varlow, who is also a very awesome person, by the way. And to my knowledge, she still has that tie to this day. Then I'm going to wrap this up by talking about the godmother of electronic music, Wendy Carlos, another trans musician. She got her big start in 1968 with creating a synthesizer version of a bunch of Bach tunes. This basically put synthesizers and electronic music on the map. This led to her getting work with Stanley Kubrick, doing the soundtrack for Clockwork Orange and The Shining. She also did the soundtrack for Tron. And yeah, like electronic, just like blues wouldn't be what it is without Bessie Smith, electronic music wouldn't be what it is without Wendy Carlos. So yeah, all these women and many, many more have helped create this artist who's talking to you right now. Without all of them, I wouldn't be who I am. So definitely check them out. And if you want to chime in on this, who are some of your favorite women artists? Comment below. Please share some links. Let's all swap music. But in the meantime, I will see you all next week. Have a good one.